Rebuilding a vintage open steam launch, this is part 25, completing and fitting the condenser oil trap. In the last episode, apart from showing how not to silver solder, I made this part that you're looking at. This is the main body of the condenser, but it needs some attachments fitting. It needs 3 steam unions fitting, one for the exhaust inlet from the engine, one to go up to the chimney, and another one to drain the condensate. So here I'm marking out for the main inlets and outlets. And after I drilled 2 holes in one end, I threaded these 2 holes using a 3/8 by 32 threads per inch tap. This gadget, by the way, is just a tap guide to ensure that the tap goes in straight. I made a few of these at one time because they're very useful to keep the tap straight. But over the years they've gone missing, I've lost them or thrown them away or whatever. Note to self, when I get some spare time I will make some more. Using my new Barco spanner, which was a present from Harold in Sweden, the union nuts are now tightened into the holes, and none of the hexagon parts have been rounded by the spanner. The reason that I fitted these unions early is so I can put the whole assembly up against the bench and then sight the position for the drain hole at the other end. When the inlet and exhaust steam unions are at the top, the drain will be at the bottom, in the middle. Which of course it needs to be because that is the lowest point of the condenser for draining out the water and old oil. When I place the condenser into the boat, you can get the general idea where it's going to be. Plenty of clearance too between the condenser and the gas tank. Unfortunately, I can't just glue this into the bottom of the boat. I do have to make proper brackets, and these start off as 2 strips of brass. Before I bend these pieces of brass at right angles to form brackets, at this end I need to drill a small 3/16 of an inch diameter hole here and a larger 3/8 of an inch diameter hole here. And here I'm using some Loctite 638 and I'm putting a small brass stud in the hole. This is a 2BA brass stud. I screw the brass stud into the hole, and this is going to take a retaining nut which will then in turn hold the bracket to the main body of the condenser. In this clip I'm using a cloth just to get a bit more purchase on the thread. Once the stud's gone in as far as I want it to do, it's time to fit a nut and of course the bracket that's since been bent at 90 degrees and another hole drilled in it to mount it in the boat. I should really have used a socket for this job, it would have been easier, but I had the Barco spanner in my hand and it was just quicker. Fitting the bracket at the other end is a very similar process, almost self-explanatory, except of course the steam union goes through the bracket as well. Back to the other end now. And using some Loctite 542, these other unions can be securely tightened in place. I looked in my drawer for some 3/8 copper washers and I couldn't find any, but they're not really required because Loctite 542 on threads like this at this depth is just never going to leak. So after a quick touch with the Barco, we have a finished condenser oil trap for the boat. And I can't really finish this episode without showing it mounted in the boat. I'm mounting it with 2 hardened steel screws. Before screwing the condenser in place, I drilled a couple of pilot holes, and it makes it very easy to mount the condenser. Everything's nice and compact, nothing's in the way, it's going to be easy to put the piping in. And all being well, I should be doing that in the next episode. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching and I hope you found it useful.